It's week 15 in the NFL, and we have 3 more of our best bets for you for this Sunday, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com, and we have 3 more NFL bets for you this Sunday. Just a quick reminder, if you're new to Grandstand Bettors, go ahead, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our NFL picks and predictions all season long. And while you're at it, smash that like button. Looks like we're going to have NFL football on Tuesday. That makes 4 straight days of NFL football, and there's never too much of a good thing, especially when it comes to the NFL. But without further ado, let's dive into our best 3 bets for NFL week number 15. First matchup we're going to look at is in the 1 p.m. time slot between the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Spread for this one is at -1 right now in favor of the Steelers, and the over-under is set at 43. The Titans, they're in good position here to win the AFC South for a second year in a row. In their last 4 games, they've only scored those 17 points per game, and the effect that Derrick Henry had on this offense is really starting to show. They have gotten some good production out of running back Deonta Foreman, and they are going to need to rely on him a lot in this game if they want to move the ball down the field on the Steelers. Dalvin Cook exposed the Steelers' major weakness on defense yet again last week, which is the ability to stop the run, as Dalvin Cook went for 205 rushing yards against them. Steelers are now the second worst in the league, giving up over 139 yards on the ground per game. Now, the Titans have really struggled at getting the passing game going ever since wide receiver A.J. Brown was placed on the IR a few weeks ago, but they will have Julio Jones back for this game. The Titans still, however, lack depth at wide receiver to put any sort of pressure on that secondary of the Steelers, which it's a Steelers pass defense that's only giving up 231 yards per game. When you look at the Titans defense, it's basically the exact opposite of what the Steelers have. They're only giving up 90 rushing yards per game, while their secondary is the issue at 22nd overall in the league. Now, the Steelers hand off the ball a lot to Najee Harris, but if they are not able to get anything going with him this week, Tomlin will not hesitate to throw the ball with Big Ben. That guy's got an arsenal at wide receiver in the likes of Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and actually Najee Harris complements the passing game really well out of the backfield. We think the Steelers have a huge advantage over the Titans secondary here, and it's going to be tough for Tannehill and the Titans offense to counter offensively with the limited weapons that they have right now. Now, when it comes down to it, this is much more of a must-win game for the Pittsburgh Steelers than it is for the Titans, especially if the Patriots beat the Colts on Saturday night. The Steelers' defense has been solid all season, and their offense needs to start playing with a sense of urgency like they did in the second half of the Minnesota Vikings game on Thursday Night Football. Both these teams have playmakers on defense. They have good units, but the Steelers' D should be fully healthy for this game, and TJ Watt should be back, which is going to be a problem for that Titans offensive line, as it has been for any other team the Steelers have played this year. With home field advantage in this one and much more offensive weapons available for Big Ben, it seems smart to not bet against Mike Tomlin late in the season as his team makes a late push for the playoffs. So, with our first pick of NFL week number 15, we are going to take the Steelers on the money line over the Titans. Now, with our second pick of Week 15 in the NFL, we're going to look at the NFC East matchup between the 9-4 Dallas Cowboys and the 4-9 New York Giants. Kickoff for this game is also at 1 p.m. Eastern. The spread is at -11 in favor of the Cowboys, and the over-under is set at 44.5 right now. Cowboys are having a comfortable lead now in the NFC East after their win over the Washington football team last week. Their offense has really carried them this year, ranking second in the NFL in both yards per game and points per game. They've done a great job even with the injuries to CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, and let's be honest, another mediocre at best season for Elliott. Their weakness, though, the Cowboys this season has been penalties and their secondary. They are second most penalized team in the NFL this season with 70 yards per game. A lot of that has come from defensive pass interference calls, which is just another reason why the secondary struggles so much this season. They actually rank 23rd against the pass, and although they have Trayvon Diggs, who leads the league in interceptions, they continue to give up big plays to keep teams in games. Now, even if this defense gives up a couple of touchdowns to the Giants offense, they should have no problem moving the ball down the field on offense to make up for that. Now, the Giants, on the other hand, they rank in the bottom half in the league in yards per game, passing defense, run defense, and points given up per game. The Cowboys, they should have no problem putting up points in this one as they did earlier in the season against the Giants. To stay in this game, though, the Giants need to attack that Cowboys secondary and have several good options down the field to try to do so in Sterling Shepard and Galladay and Kyle Rudolph. Now, there are some questionable injuries in that offense. We'll have to keep an eye on who's going to play and who's not going to play as we get closer to kickoff, so keep that in mind. The problem, though, this season really for the Giants has been with Daniel Jones, Mike Glennon getting the ball to them. Giants only averaging 217 yards per game this season through the air, but a big part of that is because Saquon has been out with injuries. Without a viable threat in their rushing attack, defenses just dropped back in the secondary, and they've held this offense to only 17 points per game. With Saquon back in the lineup, the Cowboys defense will need to account for him as well, which most likely will just occupy a linebacker all game long and maybe give the Giants wide receivers a little more space in the middle of the field. Now, although this game does not mean much for the Giants season anymore, I am sure that they would love to spoil the Cowboys season somehow and try to get an upset win in this game. With nothing to lose in the game, we do expect the offense to take a few chances against the Cowboys secondary and make them earn this win on the road. Daniel Jones, he's officially out for this game, but Mike Glennon and the Giants offense were able to put up 21 points against the Chargers last week. With the Cowboys giving up 22 points per game and the Giants giving up 24, we expect this game to be a little like it was in week number 5 where the Cowboys beat the Giants 44-20. So with our second pick of NFL week number 15, we're going to take the Cowboys-Giants over 44.5 points. Now with our last pick of NFL week number 15, we're going to look at the Green Bay Packers versus the Baltimore Ravens game in the 4:30 time slot. The Packers favored by 6.5, and the over-under is set at 43.5 points. Packers coming to this one 10-3 on the season, and at the moment they are the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're coming in after a 45-30 win last week against the Chicago Bears, one in which Aaron Rodgers threw for 340 yards and 4 touchdowns. He now has over 3,200 yards passing and 27 total touchdowns on the season with only 4 interceptions. Now, this Green Bay Packers team has been known for their offense historically, and with Rodgers, Adams, and Jones leading the way, we understand why. However, the real reason to the key of their success this year has been their defense. The Packers' D is top 10 in the league in total defense, passing defense, rushing yards allowed, points scored, and they have the second best turnover margin in the league. Now, they did just give up 30 points to a rookie last week in Justin Fields, but to be fair, they only allowed 3 points in the second half of that game after they made their adjustments. However, it really doesn't matter how many points the Packers give up, as over their last 3 games, their offense has been on another level, with 37 points per game and over 435 total yards. Even if the Ravens want to have a chance in this one, they're going to have to put up a large number of points on a very stingy defense. Speaking of those Ravens, they come into this one 8-5 atop the AFC North, a very bunched-up AFC North in that as well. They lost last week 24-22 in a very entertaining game against the Cleveland Browns. One large reason for that loss was due to an ankle injury to Lamar Jackson that kept him off the field for the majority of the game, and one that may keep him actually out of this game against the Packers this week. Jackson, who has not missed a NFL start in his entire career, still might play, but if he is unable to, Tyler Huntley will fill in, and let's be honest, in the couple of spots that Huntley has had to play this year, he's kind of looked like a mini Lamar out there. So regardless of Jackson or Huntley out there, if the Ravens, though, cannot establish a rushing attack, it's going to be a long day for them. They rank 3rd in yards per game on the ground with 144, and that really does allow the passing game to get going, throwing the ball to Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown. Those two accounting for 1,800 yards and 12 touchdowns on the season, and they help create open field opportunities for mobile quarterbacks to make plays with their feet. So Who are we betting in this great 4:30 matchup? Well, in our opinion, a lot of this is going to rely on whether Lamar Jackson can go in this one. The Ravens, they're 3-0 this year against the NFC, and Aaron Rodgers is dealing with a little bit of a toe injury, as he admitted he didn't feel great after last week's win against the Bears. Now, the Packers, they can most likely win this game. However, we do think that the Ravens will keep this close with a few special team plays and the leg of Justin Tucker. So, with our third and final pick, we're actually going to take the Baltimore Ravens plus 6.5 over the Packers. Now, that's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. We're going to be actually live streaming the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers game at Sunday at 1 p.m. We put that in our poll. You guys voted on it. That is what won out. Now, our Monday night free pick, it's coming out at about halftime of the Sunday night football game, so make sure you look for that. Also, while you're at it, we are on Patreon. Look in the description below. Use the link. Get a part of our Patreon membership. $6.99 a month. You get a sports pick each and every day. And as well, head on over to grandstandbettors.com. Become part of our family. Start living that grandstand life. But, as always, sit back, relax, enjoy NFL Week 15, and we'll see you next week.